have-nots and have all of these haters at your neck like an ascot. You could do it too, young world. See, I remember being exactly like you, young girl, but wait. You could do it too, young man, so you be fine as long as on your own till you stand. Keep on breathing, keep on living, even if you don't believe it. Keep on climbing, keep on reaching, even if this world can't see it. No, impossible is nothing. Even if you don't believe it, impossible is nothing. Even if this world can't see it. Gotta hate to not have it more than you love to obtain. That your future's around the corner, so close you can almost taste it. And it gets worse before it's better. That storm you gon' have to weather. Either be a busted pipe or a diamond due to this pressure. 25 hours, 8 days of the week. Focus, keep eyes open, victory never sleeps. My prayer for you is that you hit all the goals you're trying to reach. I even hope at one point that you take it farther than me. Keep on living, keep on breathing, even if you don't believe it. Keep on climbing, keep on reaching, even if this world can't see it. No, impossible is nothing. Even if you don't believe it, impossible is nothing. Even if this world can't see it, I shall never let them see me sweat. Promise to want for more until my very last breath. Promise to blaze a path and leave a trail for the next, and never sell out my soul for any number on a check. I shall never let them see me sweat. Promise to want for more until my very last breath. Promise to blaze a path and leave a trail for the next. Just promise me when I'm gone you won't forget. Keep on living, keep on breathing, even if you don't believe it. Keep on climbing, keep on reaching, even if this world can't see it. No, impossible is nothing. Even if you don't believe it, impossible is nothing. Even if you don't believe it. Even if you don't believe it, impossible is nothing. Even if you don't believe it, impossible is nothing. Even if this world can't see it, impossible is nothing.
Dang! Wow!
Don't go anywhere. Hello. Here's some money. Hopefully you didn't have to sell your soul to be here. I appreciate it. But don't go anywhere because we're going to have you back in 5 minutes. So just hang out up here for a while. So, hi. My name is Reverend Karen Frost, and I am so grateful to bring Spirit Uncensored to Ahiah Center for Spiritual Living. Thank you for being here today. Yes, thank you for being here. So what Spirit Uncensored is all about is recognizing that we are always at choice. What we believe is that we are always at choice, that faith will always work in your favor, and a life of gratitude is the best way to live. And so we are parsing that out by, over the course of the last few months, we've been focusing on choice. We did the Power of Decision for 4 months. We were at the Burbank Center at Spirit Works for about a year, and we've just moved here in the middle of our series. I think when we planned the series, we didn't know we were gonna move. And what happened was we have our fourth Sunday events. On the fourth Sunday of every month, we have an immersive, 100% immersive. So instead of me or Jessica or somebody being on a stage doing stuff, the whole thing is 100% immersive, where there's a facilitator that guides each participant through a workshop. So we started to get to know the center from that. In fact, I met Reverend Scott Olson, who's the senior minister here, literally a year ago to the day, at our second Sunday Spirit Uncensored event in October. Reverend Scott and I met for the first time, and he said, I would love for you to do this over here sometime. And that was our second event, so I needed some time to get to know who we are. That whole choice, faith, gratitude thing, I didn't have that until April. So we're still definitely a work in progress. We are learning and growing. And in my experience with Scott and the center, it was, this place was actually the first time that I came here to see the Sunday event. Jessica just happened to be performing, and I was like, oh, okay. And so I said, hey, will you come perform? October was my next slot that was open. I didn't know where we were gonna be, and I said, I don't know what time it's gonna be. I don't know where it's gonna be. I just know it's gonna be in October on this date. And she said yes, and I'm so grateful that the very first one that we're having here, Jessica, is here. And so let me actually get this. Who's here for the first time? Raise your hand. Ronnie, can you give those people some cards? You have cards right over there. If you can keep your hands raised, we're not going to embarrass you. All we're doing is passing out cards to get your information so we can let you know when this is happening. If you want to hold on to the card and say, I want to figure out if this is worth my time before filling the card out and giving it to me, I wholeheartedly support that. Because the entire purpose of this experience is it's interfaith. It's whatever it is that you believe, choice, faith, and gratitude, I think applies. The way that I see it as Spirit Uncensored is my way of being the change that I wish to see in the world. I wanted to see more interfaith spaces that appeal to younger people, because I come from the Center for Spiritual Living organization as a background, and same thing, it's kind of an interfaith experience, but it has a very specific kind of teaching. And I wanted to create like a baby step for that, for people who've never been to a Center for Spiritual Living. Sometimes the language is unfamiliar. If you walk into a Center for Spiritual Living and people don't look like them, they have a tendency not to come back. And so I thought this would be a good way to really bridge people and give people the opportunity to get to know each other who believe in different faiths. It hasn't been mostly interfaith. It's really been more Center for Spiritual Living people showing up, but seriously, we are open and encouraging of all faith. So bring your friends, whatever it is, like everyone is welcome here. Every belief system is welcome here. And the purpose of this organization is to really create a space for people to explore their own definition and their own relationship to God, to the God of their own understanding. I actually took God of their understanding from Reverend Michael here, who I love that phrase of whatever it is, whatever your understanding of God is, you are welcome here, you are encouraged here. This is a safe space for you to explore what that looks like. And so today, we are focused on faith. And my friend, Connie Tibbets-Milner, has been my faith partner since we were in practitioner class together. She was somebody that I knew. We were at the Global Truth Center together, and she was the hospitality person. So she was the person who was basically running around on a Sunday. So I knew her as someone who ran around. But we had never really taken classes before our practitioner class together. And I knew she was somebody that I wanted to have in my life, even though I didn't know her very well. And so I just came out and said, can we be friends like a weird grown-up? And she said, sure, we can be friends. And we've been best friends ever since. And so she's my prayer partner. She is my road dog. I am so grateful to have her here speaking today. Come on up, Connie Tibbets-Milner.
I don't think I've ever been referred to as a road dog before, but hey, first for everything. I'm gonna duck back here behind this thing because I wrote notes. I'm in ministerial classes, so they teach us to use notes. For the record, it was 2013. I looked it up. It's in my notes. We met. I'm Connie Tibbets-Milner. I am the Youth and Family Director for the Global Truth Center in Studio City. And I'm really excited to be here. I know Scott, because he was my husband at winter camp with the teens. Hi, honey.
Hi. Whoa.
We get down at winter camp, I'm just saying. But yeah, I mean, this whole idea behind faith, we chose to go in the path of intuition. And one of the things Karen was talking about was this intuition, and it's actually what I started my talk on, was that yes, in 2013 Karen and I were in a class together, and it was not prac. How crazy is that? It was, Minds in Rebellion.
I was in that class.
With Reverend, because I looked it up on my sheet
Okay,
of
I
who was
believe
in that
you.
class, so you were in it. Don't argue with me, I'm a record keeper.
She got receipts.
But she's not lying. At 11 o'clock on one of the nights after we had met, I get a text or a message through going, "Hey, are you still up?" I'm like, "Yeah." And let's talk on the phone. So we got on the phone and we had this really brilliant talk, and it was all about the class we just had and the connections that we're making at this place. And at the end of the conversation, it was, "You and I need to be friends." And there was a part of me, I'm not gonna lie, there was a part of me going, because initially my thought was, I don't just do that. I don't just run out and grab people. I don't just do those types of things. That's so not me. Yet there was something there that went, yeah, you have to say yes to this. You have to say yes to this because this is your path. That's intuition. My friends, that is intuition. Because she's right, we are prayer partners, we're spiritual partners. We helped birth this project together. Karen has had my back through all of my youth ministry planning, my ministry work, and we've gotten each other through some really dark times because we really get each other. And we really get each other because we went, hey, Spirit said this might be a good connection for you too. And we listened and said yes. So what is intuition? I mean, what is intuition? I'm open the floor. If y'all want to say anything, go ahead. I don't have a problem getting interrupted in any other way, but I am going to move my notes over a little bit. So intuition, that's that place where we just know stuff. You know, we know it. Not just that, I think I feel strongly about this. It's that, oh no, I know. I know that this woman calling me at 11 o'clock at night, I'm moving this. This woman calling me at 11 o'clock at night means something to me. There's something about this person that I need to connect with, and I know this so deeply that I'm going to say yes. That's intuition. I know. I just know, right? So then, where does it come from? Anyone? Thoughts?
God.
God? Where's that coming from? Right?
Heart.
Heart? Well, here's the science answer to you. I looked up a science answer. Ready for this? I'm really about the science. I love it. So the science answer is there's a stirring in the solar plexus. Hello, chakra people. It's right here, and it pulls us, right? And our mind takes that energy and goes, let's suck that on up here and see what's going on with that. And it makes its connections. And then it comes on out through our mouth and says, yes, to whatever it is that has been pulling us from that space. So there is an actual science behind the solar plexus and how intuition works with us physically. Will I go into all the details? Look it up. But it is, it's waves, it's these electro waves that we all live in, because the universe is, it's all energy, right? And if it's all energy, then everything we're experiencing is all of these waves of energy that are transforming as we look at them. So, what do you do with it? Can you trust it? How many of you trust your intuition?
Sometimes.
Sometimes, right? That's the most popular answer. I asked a bunch of people, do you trust your intuition? And everyone went,
Sometimes.
Sometimes we trust it. Why is that? Why do you think that is? So, that's hard for me to do. So, when we trust our intuition, what we're doing, did I do something? Oh, okay. Sometimes I do funny things. Yeah. You are so helpful, thank you. Oh, that's so much better, yes? Yeah. Okay, I like that better, thank you very much. So when we're looking at trusting intuition, what made me go, yeah, I'm gonna say yes to this girl. Something about this girl tells me I'm in a good place and something about me is going to expand when I say yes. Yes?
Yeah.
So how many times do we say no to something that's coming up from solar plexus and all the waves of energy and all that stuff is going into the brain, coming out the mouth, and we go, no, maybe not. What's happening there is we're doubting whether or not that most divine part of who we are, our intuition, by the way, is the most divine part of who we are, is not as divine as we think it is. We are doubting that the very basic principle of every religion on this planet is wrong, or doubting that it's right. The very principle of God energy, divine energy, which is truth, it's this constant. It doesn't vary, it is what it is. So when we don't follow our intuition, we're saying, that's not quite real, that's not quite true for me. Or maybe we have some self-doubt, maybe we have some worthy issues. Maybe we have some questions about what may have happened in the past. That's possible, right? But the thing is once we learn, once we step into that place where we recognize that all the stuff coming up from the solar plexus, all of these feelings, all of these knowings are real, and they're really a part of who I am, or really truly are what I am, I can trust it. Because I know who I am, and I know where that basic part of me comes from. So I trust it, right? So then some lady calls you at 11 o'clock at night and goes, let's be friends. What are you going to say?
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. There's a feeling, right? There's this gut feeling. That's why it's in the solar plexus, right? So there's this feeling that you get that you just go, right. I think this could be right. And then that other thing goes, maybe not. Yeah, I don't know if you want to trust this. It may not be God. It may not be true. It may not be right. What is the feeling telling you? Are you expanding from it? Are you feeling like, whoa, this could be good for me? I'm a little frightened of it. Sure, I can be frightened of it. But it's expanding me somehow. I just know that if I turn down this road, if I choose those numbers, if I say yes to that person, I'm going to go down the exact right road that's going to take me to my fullest expression as God, as divine principle. How cool is that? It's just a feeling, right? Oh, God, you guys, whoosh. So how do you do that? How do you get into that feeling? Is that we have the little guy going, I don't know, I'm not so sure. That could not be right. Those are our negative talkers. Dr. Reverend James Mellon likes to call them wigglers. You know, in the basketball games, when they go to shoot, there's people at the other side of the court going, woo, trying to make sure you don't hit the basket. Those are just the wigglers. And the really good basketball players go, I don't see nothing but net. And they get it, right? So that, those are the wigglers. So just see nothing but net. Just get in there and go, okay, this is expanding me. I feel this. I know this is going to take me into a place that's going to be my greatest and highest space. So wigglers be damned, I got this. I'm going to go right to it. And I'm going to see only the good stuff that comes out of this. Yes, sometimes we feel crap. Sometimes it just feels like all the time when you're going through it. And you get through it and you go, sunshine and blue skies, right? You get through it and you realize, not only have I expanded into something really great, I'm stronger for it. I'm in a sturdier place. And I am really, really feeling those feelings that take me into that divine self that I am. Yes?
Yes.
Yes? I like that. Okay, thanks for listening. I appreciate that. Because sometimes, I could be talking, but all right, thank you. So when we're intuitive, those negative thoughts just aren't part of our choice mechanisms. They aren't part of our little menu, so to speak. I talk in a lot of pictures. Did you ever notice that? Have you seen that with me before? I talk in a lot of pictures. I impress myself too. But one of the ways, let me get back to my job. So one of the things about how do we get ourselves to where we're in that place where we're really recognizing only the positive, right? We need to recognize that this is a wiggler, but how do I get there? What do I do? We have spiritual practice for that, right? We want to meditate. We want to sit still. Or maybe in some people's cases, we want to go for a run. whatever it is that clears that mind and opens us up to what is, so that we can hear that intuitive voice much louder, right?
Yes.
So we do that, and we just live a very deliberate life. You know, I'm going to take this mic off. And the reason I'm taking this mic off is because it makes me feel like there's not something in my face. So I'm going to do that because it makes me feel like I'm going to expand into this talk a little bit better. That's a deliberate choice. Yes?
Yes.
Excellent. And I've found lately that when I get really quiet, I really am connected. I am really in source. I am really spirit in action when I'm really quiet. Now, mind you, quiet for me is not sitting on the sofa with my finger on my belly button going, Quiet for me is, I've got some music going on in the background, I'm probably sweeping the floor, doing the dishes, or I could be going for a walk. I work with children a lot, I may be sitting reading a book with kids. Somehow, I am very quiet in that space. That's what delivers me into my sense of connection. So when I feel connected, when I'm really quiet and I'm being very present, I'm being very on purpose, I know that voice speaking to me is real. I know that that intuitive message is getting through to me and that that's where I need to go. Yeah. So I wanted to tell a quick little story, and nothing that I've got written down here is really quick, so I'm just going to tell it. So some years ago, I used to be very afraid of driving freeways, right? So a friend of mine said, I need a ride to Burbank Airport, but I need you to take my car home and then come back and get me when I come back into town. And at the time, I was very much sure, I will do whatever anyone asks me to do because that's what I'm supposed to do. I've learned, so don't ask. But at this point, I did. I said, sure, I'll do that. And this person drove us to Burbank Airport. Great. Somehow I got home. Great. Then came the time to go pick them up from the airport. Guess who didn't drive there, who didn't understand freeways and was very frightened of them? It was me. So I'm in this car and I'm driving, and all of a sudden I realize I don't know where the hell I'm going. Where is the airport? And I started to freak out. I'm on the 5 and I'm driving. I'm like, the 5 could take you anywhere. What are you going to do? And oh my God, you could end up home. So I'm freaking out, and all of a sudden I stopped myself and went, no, wait a minute. Airports have timelines. Airports want you to get there. Airports they're very clear that they want you to get there so you can get on the plane so it can leave on time, right? So there must be signs somewhere saying, go this way. There's an airport over here. And I took a deep breath. I'm still driving along, took a deep breath. Oh, look, there's a sign that says Burbank Airport, 2 miles. Oh, I'm almost there. And I followed these signs, and I went and picked up my friend, and she went, do you have any trouble? I'm like, please, I know what I'm doing. I didn't. But the idea being that at some point, I had to stop myself. Now, I wasn't in this really cool, very open, aware space that I'm in right now. So that was a big leap for me to stop and go, all right, wait a minute, there's something else you need to know about this. But what happens if we're in that very aware, very cool, vibrant space that I'm in right this moment and go, well, wait a minute, there's something more to know. For everything that I do, what happens? All the cool things start happening. Someone calls you at 11 o'clock at night and says, hey, come be my friend. And I say, yes, I will be your friend. And then we open up a center where all these wonderful people come to hear us talk. And then I get to stand here and tell you the story. Like 3 times now, right? I've told you 3 times. 4, because Karen said it. So what I'm trying to say is that when we really get to that place where we can know who we are, when we can really be still, we can really be clear about what's going on, about who we are, that intuitive speak, that intuitive message, it becomes our truth, and it becomes something that comes out of our mouth, comes out of our actions, and comes out of our thoughts. It's pretty stinking great. At one point, a friend of mine told me, we speak to God in prayer. It's in meditation when we listen. So if I'm meditating and I know that God is all there is, I'm meditating to hear myself, my higher self, tell me what's next. What's the next expansive place? So be sure you're listening. Listen with your feelings, listen with your soul. Make sure it's what you want and you move into it. Yes, we step into it strong, go right into that direction, and you might just get a brand new friend out of it. And maybe they'll become your best friend. Thank you.
So I love that Connie made it super, super clear that I said faith all kinds of times, but never said anything about intuition, even though that is really more of the focus of what tonight's event is about. That the reason faith was split up into 2 months, and last month was faith in what? And we sort of explored the idea of what God is. And here, the reason I chose intuition as the segment of faith to focus on is because the idea of faith is trusting in something unseen. And intuition, to me, is having that relationship. So God is the force itself, whatever it is that's powering the solar plexus and everything else. And FYI, there is a solar plexus workshop happening here. Is it next week, Reverend Scott? The 20th. So, yeah, so there's information, I think, out there in the hallway with more about that workshop. And I was actually really interested in it, so I'm glad that you ignited that within me more. And so I thought that intuition and faith go hand in hand because it's this idea of your intuition kind of tells you what to have faith in and what not to have faith in, right? That where if I had called Connie at 11 o'clock at night and I'd given her like some kind of icky feeling, not knowing me very well, but felt like she was just, if it was I really don't want to be this girl's friend, like that would have been right in her ear of like, she would really try and exit that situation as peacefully as possible from what I know of Connie. And so she would say, I'd have to think about it. That's my guess, right? Like, let me think about it for a while and then just kind of avoid not answering that question. The Connie that I knew back in 2013, I think would have done that. Now she would just say, I don't know, I think you might be a little more honest about it. But anyway, it's our intuition that having a relationship with our intuition is the thing that helps us determine what to have faith in and what not to have faith in. Where our energy is best for us to direct and where it's not best for us to direct. And so earlier, my intuition told me, Jessica, stay up here, thinking her song was gonna come next. And then I introduced Connie and Jessica's intuition found her way off the stage without the fact of me saying, stay up here. That I think some of the reason why we say sometimes is because you make a decision really sort of in a split second and it was the wrong choice. And so it's this question of, did this decision come out of intuition or where was it? And I think we end up having a tenuous relationship with it. So we're going to talk more about that later, but for now, we're going to enjoy a fantastic song from Jessica.
Woo! Thank you. Hello, everyone. So this song here, I decided to go with the theme, and it is a song called Sojourner by J. Cole and Rhapsody that I redid my own rap to, because a little backstory here, 3 years ago I was training for a triathlon, Ironman triathlon, and in my head I was like, I'm gonna get an accident on the bike, I'm gonna get, like hearing a very negative, I'm like, it's gonna be okay, but in the back of my mind, and I got an accident on the bike, I was airlifted, I cut my face, had surgery and had a head injury and all that stuff. And I thought, that's it, I'm never going back. But this year, something, through intuition and following all the stuff that you just feel is the right time to come back. So this year I came back, and actually last month I did 2 70.3 Ironmans in the same week because I had and I did it. But in the training, it's not just about the physical training; it's also about the spiritual, emotional, mental wellness too. So I took the Building a Healing Consciousness class during that time to coincide with my training, and it just helped me just build a better way of thinking and trusting myself. And at the same time, I'm also taking a master's program, and in that same week, also with my parents too, because I feel like through times we've been discriminated and all that stuff, but it was through their example too of like breaking patterns that helped us also to break patterns. So my mom is right here too, so I also mentioned her. So with that long intro, here's a song called Sojourner with my own rap added onto it. So here it is. Born and raised in Southern California, but doesn't mean I haven't journeyed to other states of mind, consciousness, places I affiliate. Need to know what came before me to fully appreciate how my mom and dad, my uncles came here to immigrate. Lived through Civil War and came here escaping the hate. Yeah, they met in the States over the value of education. Both smarter on the pre-med track but faced discrimination. Told their people aren't smart, can't give their dissertation. Prove them wrong by not consuming that narration. See, they broke the trajectory, not repeating the history. To the kids it was exemplary, coming out in victory. Imagine being at the top of the class in one country, then coming here working as a mater in a factory. See, that's gotta be a blow to find yourself so late on low. But what you reap is what you sow, and like the ashes they arose from the ashes to classes. Then they grow compassion when they separated. My eyes on mom was the greatest. After that she never dated, said her kids she dedicated to the children be created and the tools be creative. See, cause it's not just the schools but at home you're to inspire. Gotta work hard, be consistent, the tools to rise high. That's why my sister, critical thinkers and artists and esquire. See, what you resist will persist. Mental shifts, believe in your gifts. Got a dream, plan for the future, check those goals off your list. Plant the seed, let it breed, and trust in what you feel and see the success and action guaranteed. And so it is, let it go. Now, ooh, from here on out, I've got to realize the power of learning to let go and just let God enjoy the ride. Swim good, enjoy the ride. Every time I rise, I thank God that I'm alive. Yeah, swim good, enjoy the ride. Every time I rise, I thank God that I'm alive. See, this is why you have to believe in the things that you do not always see. Call it God, the universe, or whatever you please. Yeah, it's working right inside us just to give us what we need. Hey, swim good, enjoy the ride. Every time I rise, I thank God that I'm alive. Yeah, swim good, enjoy the ride. Every day I rise, I thank God that I'm alive. I swam for miles only to realize the current is fighting
fantastic. Like, it's so cool. You are like made for us, and you are already here. I am so, so grateful.
And that was the first time I pulled that out this morning.
That's
Today,
awesome.
like,
Yes, I'm glad you followed your intuition and brought that with you. Yes. All right, so the whole thing of Spirit Uncensored, even the name, was something that came over the course of time. The divine idea was that I felt like I needed a regular place to speak. I work for Viola Davis. I'm a TV executive at Viola Davis's production company, and the moment that I started working for that company, I had like a big spotlight on me all of a sudden. And I get it, like Viola Davis is a big deal, and so the fact that I'm just in her orbit just made me a bigger deal all of a sudden. And at that point, I had been a minister for about a year, and I had been speaking at various places. I had no idea when I was in ministerial school that I was ever going to use my license at all. In my mind, what I would do was just whatever it is that I was doing at my spiritual center, I'd be able to do whatever I wanted. And this speaking experience made me realize this was something that I can do that I had never thought about before. And so now that I had the spotlight on me, and people kept asking me, where can I see you speak? I kept being places like Bakersfield, Simi Valley, someplace that people who live in LA don't necessarily want to drive to. In fact, when I said that we were coming to Pasadena, I didn't know who was going to follow us from Burbank to Pasadena, even though it's like 5 miles down the road. That 5 miles makes all of the difference for some Angelinos. And so Simi Valley was a big haul for people who didn't even know where Simi Valley was. A lot of people in the local entertainment area, no idea Simi Valley existed and was a place you can drive to in a reasonable amount of time. And so I can't help it. That was just what it was. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to create something local. David Allen Cruz, who I went to meet, who's also in our practitioner class, has a spa called Happy and Relax, and there was a room in it. And I said, how about you and me do something in this room together once a month? We had this conversation in March, and I said, our September will be our very first one. And so between now and September, we'll figure out what this thing is. And what happened is, by the time we had our very first event, we had a spiritual center. And it was all put together in really led by intuition. Nobody really had a conscious thought of, let's start a spiritual center, and this is what it's gonna do, and this is what we're gonna believe in, and this is what we will do every month on a Sunday. And so Connie and her husband James and my wife and David and his partner and somebody else who had volunteered to be our music director all just happened to be sitting at a table at some point when we learned that I would need a board. And so I looked at them all and I said, so will you guys be the board? And they all kind of shrugged their shoulders. I guess I'm sitting here. I guess I do care about whatever the spirit. I think we had the name Spirit Uncensored by that point, because that's what it was. If like we needed a bank account, because to collect donations you need a bank account, and to get a bank account you need to incorporate, and to incorporate you needed a board. I learned all of this in the matter of one afternoon, and so I did what was run in front of me, and the people around me luckily said yes. And so we suddenly had a spiritual center, and none of us had really internalized or recognized that that's what we were doing together. And I think, one, as a board, and two, as spiritual leaders, we were just kind of like, what did we do? What is this? Can we do it? Is it gonna be okay? After the first one, David said, does it have to be every month? And so I had this thing of like, I am somebody who, if I say I'm doing something, I am doing it. If I say this is a monthly event, it's gonna be a monthly event. And if at some point I decide it doesn't serve me, I'm comfortable with letting it go, but I want my reputation of being somebody who's consistent with my word. Having integrity with my word is super important to me. So I don't want to say I'm going to have a monthly event and then after the first month say, you know what, it's going to be bi-monthly now or whatever it is. And the actual experience itself, as you can see, is consistently a work of progress. And I've been choosing to allow my intuition to guide me through the whole experience. And it's helped me develop a relationship with my intuition that I've never had before. And so when I made the conscious choice to say, this month is going to be intuitive AF. This is our theme, this is what it's about. I sat in meditation, and for the first time, actually last month, I admitted out loud that I had never had a regular spiritual practice before. And because I am now a senior minister at a spiritual center, I better get it together and get that started. And so it was Faith Month, felt like a really good time to start a regular spiritual practice. And so in our backyard, we've got this beautiful waterfall, and that's the whole thing. Because I've got an amazing waterfall that stops at 8 a.m., it gave me a perfect opportunity to say, I want to finish meditation by the time the waterfall ends. And weekends were harder. It was easier for me to be up and done by 8 a.m. during the week when I have to be at work than on a Saturday and Sunday when I just kind of lay around and my wife brings me food, which I genuinely appreciate. So, I have like lazy Saturdays, and sometimes I'm obviously doing spiritual stuff on a regular basis on a Sunday, but I hadn't, so we traveled a little bit, so I used the Insight app on my phone to track meditation, and so I'm officially, today's 15 consecutive days. Woo! It's official. And for some reason, I thought because I just now started meditating that I would be intuitive AF all of a sudden. Like, as if 2 days of meditation makes me suddenly Jesus. I don't know what I was thinking. And so I had this thing of like, meditation is fantastic. I wholeheartedly speak its praises. And obviously I wouldn't have spoken its praises 2 months ago because I wasn't doing it regularly 2 months ago. But it was something that I kind of did because I was supposed to. I am a spiritual leader. People expect this of me. So I do it because I should. But I didn't really feel like I needed a committed practice. And once I started making the commitment to do it every morning, I recognized that what it does for me is, as Connie said, I'm listening to my intuition. In fact, I think I figured that out a few months ago when we used to talk every day, but now she's got 3 jobs and is going to school. And so back when we were talking every day, I had this moment of clarity. I said, I think meditation is to listen to what my intuition and what God has to say. And she was like, yeah, you're just now figuring that out? And I was like, okay, well good. I didn't just make this up. This is what meditation is for. And so I was living each day operating from a level of trust that I had never operated from. But the reason that I think so many of us say, sometimes I trust my intuition, is because it seems like it steers us in the wrong direction sometimes. Yesterday, we were at the beach yesterday, and Ronnie had mentioned that she wanted to go to this barbecue place. And so I thought, I think they have happy hour today. And I pulled up the site and found out that happy hour ended at 5 p.m. and it was 4:42 and we were on the sand. So I was like, I think we might be able to make it. Let's run to the car. I think we can do it. And so I'm driving, like watching the clock, looking at the GPS to see how much time it says that it's going to take for me to be there. And it was imperative to me that I got in by happy hour. We did get there at 4:59, thank you. And I had this whole thing of I had to trust, I have an opportunity to choose fear, or I can trust that if I meant to get to happy hour at the right time, I will. Maybe if I miss happy hour, that means I should get something that's not on the happy hour menu. However it unfolds, but I'm just gonna trust it's gonna be okay. So we get there, 4:59, they don't have happy hour menus anywhere. They're like, sure, yes, you have 60 seconds to order, but I have to physically tell you what's on the happy hour menu. And so my head was like in panic mode. And I got chicken sliders. And after I ordered these chicken sliders, I was like, I'm at a barbecue place, and I didn't get steak, I didn't get pork, I got freaking chicken. And my wife, Ronnie, that's what she eats. She doesn't eat beef and pork. Chicken is her thing. So I was like, what was I even thinking? And I was like, curse you, intuition. You had me picking chicken, and I should have picked something else. The things that they do better here. And so it's this whole thing of how do we not judge our intuition when it guides us to make a decision that we feel like I would have much rather preferred a steak sandwich, but it was too late. Happy hour was over. And so I spent the day doing everything that I could to come up with some wonderful moments of wisdom that I can share about this is what it means to be intuitive AF. And this is how one can be intuitive AF. And what that involved for me, obviously, that's why I was at the beach. So I was like, oh, I'm not getting the wisdom I'm looking for in this house. Let's go to the beach. God's probably there. I bet I can see God a lot clearer at the beach than I can here. And I was doing things like I was listening to music that I never listened to. We went to the library and I got a Toni Morrison book and a Richard Wright book. And I opened Ernest Holmes's Can We Talk to God? I was doing everything I could think of to become intuitive AF in a course of 2 months and trying to cram it into a day, into 24 hours on Saturday. And Ronnie was supposed to go to a spiritual retreat. She was supposed to be at a Black lesbian retreat this weekend. And on Friday, she said, I'm not gonna go. And so I was like, I was gonna be alone this weekend. This was supposed to be my time to like commune with God. And I love you and all, but this is what I was gonna do. And so every time something I didn't do this weekend, I was like, well, I was supposed to be alone this weekend. That would have been done if I was alone this weekend. But at this, I really do love every moment that I spend with her. So I didn't have I wish you weren't here. That wasn't happening at all. I would have never gone to the beach if I wasn't looking for other ways to really figure out how I can become intuitive AF before I get here right now. And so, went to the beach, came home, had that happy hour situation going on, came home and still did not have the wisdom, the clarity, the insight that I felt like I should have by today. And so I thought about that. I thought about, okay, wait a minute, Karen, that was really unrealistic for you to expect that 2 months, that 14 days of consecutive meditation would make you become this wise sage all of a sudden. Like you are not intuitive AF. Maybe someday you will be, but today's not the day. However, continuing to take this meditation practice, continuing to commit spiritual practice, is how you become intuitive AF. My intuition told me that. I'm grateful. I'm grateful that it checked me eventually at 10 p.m. last night. And I realized how everything that's ever accomplished starts with a decision, the power of decision, having faith, and gratitude. But you have to keep doing those things over and over and over again. And the whole point of spiritual practice is to live to be embodied in faith at all times, in every step of the way. Because the world that we live in is not designed to remind us to have faith. There are things here and there. In fact, I notice because I work in television, I watch a lot of TV, the hero's journey is in literally every show we ever watch. Regardless of that, very few of us are walking through the world feeling like heroes. In fact, I'm literally going to tattoo "A Hero Lies in You," a Mariah Carey lyric I've decided on my forearm because I wanted to have something that I wanted to never ever forget. And that's the thing, one, I love Mariah, so I'm happy to have a lyric of hers tattooed on my arm. But secondly, it's because I forget all the time that I'm a hero. And I consciously decided recently that my next step in my career is to be a TV writer. So if I'm going to be writing hero stories, I need to remember all the time that I am a hero. And that's what my faith practice is for. And so this idea, regardless of the fact that we have so many stories that remind us that we are a hero, there are all kinds of other opposing things happening. At Ahiah just this morning, was it you that talked about don't listen to what the Cartier ad has to? I was in the sound booth, so it is weird, Goya, listening to service from back there. I'm glad that you're committed to doing that. Thank you for that. But Reverend Scott said this morning how there are these ads that are basically bombarding us and telling us that we are not enough. And it's really hard to remember that we are a hero and remain on our faith journey. You know, whatever it is, whatever area that we want to shine light on, it's going to take lots and lots and lots of consistent practice. It's why Malcolm Gladwell said that we need 10,000 hours to experience an expert level sense of whatever it is that we're doing. And so, me personally, the reason that I work in television, the reason that Spirit Uncensored exists, is because something that I'm clear about is that I do want to be the change I wish to see in the world. I see the country that I live in. In fact, LA is a much more joyful place for me to live in than Chicago was. Rachel, you can probably attest to that as well. And I'm grateful to be here, but at the same time, as a country, we have a lot of room for growth. And I want to be somebody that advocates for positive change. And positive change does not happen overnight. And so it's incumbent upon me to remain consistent in my faith journey, to have my spiritual practice, to trust that one day I will be intuitive AF, even though that day is not today. And know that this experience of having Spirit Uncensored, of inspiring people to identify what is theirs to do, to create a safe space to explore what that is and how to accomplish it, and to have it be completely uncensored, that regardless of what they believe, where they come from, that whatever change you want to make in the world, you can do. And so for me, what that is inspiring other people to be the change they wish to see in the world. And I will tell you, that's not easy. Being the change you wish to see in the world is not an easy thing. I thought it was. I think just because it's easy to kind of look at other people and think other people should be making the same decisions you would be making. And the reality is that it's not about other people making the decisions that you make. It's about creating a safe space, a brave space for people to be who they are, think differently than you are, and know that we are all in this together, that we're all looking out for our own highest and best. And even though my definition of highest and best may not be the same as everyone else in here, that at least we are all committed to doing that. To me, that's something that would be incredibly powerful to experience in the world. So I do the very best that I can, both through my work in storytelling and my work here, to impart that and create that space for us to be intuitive AF. So I'd like to, Jessica, can you come on up here? I appreciate it. I'd like to solidify this idea of choosing to connect with our intuition together. I don't know if when Connie asked who has a great relationship with their intuition, nobody was like, me! So I trust that we all have some room for growth around this area. And I'd like to sort of solidify this for if you're open to it, to make a conscious choice to really have a great relationship with our intuition through prayer. So if Jessica can do some do-do-do-do for me behind, we will get started in prayer.
Well,
Thank you. So I invite you to get comfortable in your seats. And let's center this experience, this brand new moment, with a deep breath. A deep collective breath. And this breath is a representation of the oneness that we all are. We all are breathing. We all have the opportunity to bring our attention to the breath at once. And because each one of us has a conscious choice to see the oneness that is taking place at all times with all living, breathing beings on this planet, then I know that each one of us also is born with this divine intuition within. This thing we don't have to judge, we don't have to question. Sometimes it may look like it's steering us in the wrong direction, but the reality is that all of our lives are unfolding perfectly, always, at all times. There is always something good for us to know. There is always a lesson to be learned. There is always growth to take place. And I am so grateful that each person showed up today, committed to that, showing up to express their spiritual practice in a spiritual community, being open to shift that relationship to intuition, to trust it inherently, wholeheartedly, knowing that it never steers us in the wrong direction. It only steers us towards a lesson, something that we may never know the reason why, but know that every decision we make, every experience in our lives is right and perfect for us. So I'm grateful for this prayer, grateful for this decision, and grateful for the divine design of the universe itself, knowing that that's exactly what it came here to do. It gave us breath available at our disposal for free. We can pay attention to it, or we can ignore it. But we are always being breathed by spirit. That is the design of the planet. That intuition, instinct, is always with us. It's up to us to connect to it. So I'm grateful for this decision, grateful for this design, grateful for this experience. And I affirm this by inviting us to close by saying, and so it is. Amen. Thank you, Jessica. You're a rock star. All right. So this is the interactive part. And I thought that I had several ideas for activities around connecting with our intuition. But like I said, I've had a very tenuous relationship with my intuition these last couple months. And so what I've decided as of 5 seconds ago is that this is an open floor. This is a new space. You are all here many of you are here for the first time. Many of you are in this location for the first time. Many of you are meeting me for the first time. So this is an open floor. This is an open mic. And what we do here in general is there's usually some sort of prompt of, come take this mic and tell us about this or tell us about that. But because we're here for the first time, I want to invite you all to trust your intuition to guide you to whatever it is that you want to say to the group. Whether, I'm not even going to give you examples, because I trust your intuition will tell you the right thing to do, and whether it inspires you to be the one that raises your hand first, or be the one that walks over and takes the mic from me. Now I will say, what happens when people don't raise their hands is they get, Debbie knows, Debbie is well aware. You get this kind of like weird, uncomfortable look where it's like, oh, she's looking at me. She's telling me it's my turn. I'm going to have to get on this mic. Spirit has told her that it is time for me to get on this mic. And usually, people are very good at not looking away. Like, Rachel, you're doing a great job of meeting me in my face. And then I start saying things like using your name. And saying, hey Rachel, you're still looking at me, and you're laughing, which makes me feel like you really might want to say something. But no, you're sitting still, and that happens sometimes. Great, I'm not even going to have to pressure Rachel, because Carolyn is all ready. Come on up. 100%, it's generally like in a circle, where we'll see what happens. It depends on how many people come, but we are prepared for small intimate groups or a large group. We're all ready for that. So, but that piece of it will be in the fellowship hall. And also, Spirit Uncensored is collecting items for Safe Place for Youth. Do you want to talk about Safe Place for Youth for a little bit, Ronnie? You don't have to.
Sure.
You got your spiritual gangster shirt on, like you're ready to represent Safe Place for Youth.
Hi everyone. So Safe Place for Youth, they're out in Venice. And they provide, educational resources, job resources, shelter, and so many other things, mental health resources for homeless youth in the LA area. I met someone that worked for the organization, a therapist, and it seems like they're doing really awesome work. And they are collecting travel size. They specifically asked for travel size, toiletries, and also underwear for male, female of all sizes. I guess I shouldn't have said gender. But anything that you can donate, toothbrushes, mouthwash, deodorant, those types of things, feminine hygiene products, they could use them. And thanks so much.
I have a question.
Yes, Reverend Scott.
One of my congregants was asking if they service Pasadena.
I can find out.
Could you please?
Yes, absolutely. I think whoever shows up at their door, they help them.
Okay.
And they'll also be, if you sign up to Spirit Uncensored newsletter, they also have events and they look for volunteers, different fundraisers and things like that. And they're always looking for people to help and sign up. So if you're interested in that as well, we'll be sending out more info soon.
We were at obviously Ronnie and I are really into happy hours. We went to a happy hour specifically dedicated for Safe Place for Youth that was in Silver Lake about a month ago. So I think they are they service the LA area, but they are, their location is in Venice. That's where their office is. Transients is transient, so I don't think they say, what neighborhood are you sleeping in before they give you some fresh underwear. So that's just my guess, but we will definitely confirm. Thank you for asking that, Reverend Scott. The other thing, so I talked about fourth Sundays. Second Sunday, both times are now at 4:30. So we're here on the second and fourth Sunday at 4:30. Would love snacks at both the second and fourth Sunday events. And I feel like there was one more thing I wanted to say, but I can't think of it right now. You know what? This is why I wrote down notes. Let me check. You know what it was? It was thank you. Thank you. Thank you to Jessica. Thank you to Connie. Thanks to Reverend Scott and Ahiah. Yes, you can clap because they're amazing. And in between events, our Facebook group, Spiritual Rock Stars, is a space for you if you are not somebody who felt like getting on a mic, but you want to interact, talk about your journey to intuition. That Spiritual Rock Stars group we've had for a really long time. In fact, Ronnie said, we should create this group in December of last year. And I said, for what? What are we going to do with that? Because I was super busy and the idea of doing something else was really like getting to me. But now that I'm meditating regularly, I have something that I want to say. And I'm clear about how creating a space for people online to interact in between events, I now feel ready for that. So I invite you to join that Spiritual Rock Stars on Facebook. And share your intuition journey for the next couple weeks. And take us out, Jessica.
Beautiful, you should know, I think you're beautiful. You should let them show the things I love the most. 'Cause I don't know what you see, but I see all of you beautiful. You should know, I think easy on your way up. You can do major thing, major lane. The way that I come, that's the major game. They should've known I'd be major flame. I would lose my mind in this ashtray. Sit in the jacuzzi, heat got me woozy. I've been taken till next Tuesday. Stroke my ego, I got calls back, no keys though. Beautiful, you should know. I think you're beautiful. All your flaws are perfect, you should let them show. The things I love the most, 'cause I don't know what you see, but I see all of you beautiful. You should know, I think you're beautiful. You the bomb, don't listen to the stupid folks that try and break you down, 'cause they would have to be blind not to see it.
Yes. You all are fucking beautiful. Have an amazing couple of weeks. Enjoy snacks in the fellowship hall. And if you have questions, thoughts, things you didn't want to say on a mic, I will be around. Thanks, everybody.